Hello and welcome back to Lisa Loves. You may note I'm wearing the same top as I was wearing on my week one what I watched in January because I'm recording them both at once because today is the 16th of January, I believe. I'm now going to do my what I watched in week slots rather than monthly to keep it shorter and to maybe give you a little bit more information if you want it about the movies. Again, give me some feedback. If you prefer them to be shorter, concise with not much information, let me know below in the comments because, you know, we do the videos for you. So let's get on with what I watched on the second week. So I ended last week on the 8th, which I know was a bit of a cheat, but anyway. So we will start this week with what I watched on the 13th, which was Night Stalker, The Hunt for a Serial Killer. Now, I've done a separate video about this, which I will link in the comments, but this is a documentary in 4 pieces about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. It mainly follows the detectives on the case, how they discovered who was guilty, how they caught him, and it does go into detail about the different crimes. There are some very graphic photographs included, which this documentary has been getting a lot of criticism for the inclusion of these photographs, the amount of times they show them, the length of which they show them, but I think anybody that watches true crime, this is a given, this happens. We need to see these things to get, you know, like in one situation, it goes into detail. Now, I know about what Richard Ramirez did, I know what a monster he was, but I think when it shows you photographs of the woman in her 80s, that, you know, 2 women that lived together, one survived, one didn't, and what he done to them was just gross. That's not a strong enough word, but when it shows a picture of one of these poor ladies, you just look at it and think you complete and utter animal. And it does really get across the gravity of what a monster he is. As I say, there's been criticisms about those photographs being included, but just to warn, they're in there. If you want to know a little bit more about the documentary, check out my video about it, but I would recommend it. I enjoyed it. It was much better than the one I reviewed in December, I think it was called The Ripper, about the Yorkshire Ripper. This one was much better put together. So the next one on my list, Palm Springs. I watched this due to, I think, 3 or 4 different people reviewing it and saying it was amazing. Austin Burke, who you know I watch and I tend to agree with his opinions, gave this a 4.5 out of 5. I have to say I disagree. I didn't think it was awful, but I thought it was average at best. People's going to disagree with me and say, you know, you're wrong, you missed this, you missed that. This is a modern take on Groundhog Day with a little bit of humorous gore through in there for measure. It's not a horror by any means. There are just a few little bits in it that are quite amusing when an individual thinks, I don't want to be living with this anymore, it's the same day over and over, I just want to do away with myself, and that's what he tries to do. It's very quick, it's very like a couple of seconds, that's it, gone. That's the only thing that separates this, for me, from Groundhog Day. A lot of people love Groundhog Day, so it may be your thing, but for me, I think it's like a friend of mine said recently on doing a review about a movie that 2 of his friends absolutely loved. I think I went into this with too high expectations, and while I enjoyed it, I didn't think it was even close to the other people's opinions of it. This is how I felt about this film. It was perfectly pleasant. It wasn't, I wouldn't even have come out of this and said, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I would say it passed an hour and a half, it was okay. But I didn't see anything new. I wasn't blown away by the performances. I was left feeling quite tepid about the whole thing. So that's Palm Springs. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. You may disagree. You may think it's one of the best things this year so far. Well, it wouldn't be hard, would it? 15 days. But let me know if you've seen that below and what you thought about it, because I seem to be, let's just say for sake of argument, I can see what other people have rated it on Letterboxd. So you can see there, watched by, and we've got a 4.5, a 3, a 4, a 4, a 4.5. So I think they're looking at across this list. I've given it the lowest score, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5 out of 5. My God, 3.5. I've given it the lowest score of everyone on that list. I've given it a 2.5, so maybe it was just, actually, let's get a second opinion. What did you think of that? Palm Springs, the one about the guy and the girl that keep living the same day over and over again, out of 5?
I'd give it a 3.
Right, so that's my husband would give it a 3, which is the lowest score that's on here. I would give it a 2.5. So Again, maybe I'd give it a 3 if I hadn't had it built up so much and wasn't disappointed. Yeah, watch it, let me know what you thought. I may be wrong. It just maybe didn't. The characters just did not gel with me. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Lastly, I quite enjoyed this little movie, to be honest, but I know not everyone will. I watched this last night. It was called Howl. This is a British comedy horror movie. Even saying the words comedy horror together, I don't generally like it. I know I've said that a lot of times, but this to me worked. This has got, I'll give you some of the cast: Ed Spieler, Shauna McDonald, Elliot Cowan, Holly Weston. This is a movie, it's obviously it's called Howl, it's a werewolf movie with a little bit of a difference. It's set on a train, the train breaks down and there are werewolves in the surrounding woods around where the train has broken down. The one criticism I will have about this movie is I think it showed too much of the actual creatures themselves. I feel that there were aspects of this where it showed glimpses, even aspects outside the train where it showed the animals in the dark and the eyes glowing and you could see the shadow, and it was really effective. It looked really good. I'm going to give a sweeping generalisation here. I don't feel generally that British movies do this kind of thing very well. They tend to go down the route of don't show very much and be really effective, or be funny with it and just loads of gore. But this, if they hadn't have shown so much of the creature, would have been really, really effective. They did look really scary. There was just too much shown. Even though what it did show was decent, I'll not say it was awful, it was too much, and when you watch it you'll see what I mean. But this has got bits in it that are really funny. I don't know if that will carry to an American audience. Some of the humour is very British. The performances are all really good, really solid. I did like the fact that it was quite light, it wasn't overly serious, but in saying that, the kills were horrific. There was a lot of blood and gore. The gore was good from what it showed. I was satisfied with the ending. I thought this was decent, I have to say. It's one I hadn't heard of. I've recently subscribed to Shudder, finally, at last, and this was on Shudder. I checked this out, so yeah. Last train, full moon, all change. It said when passengers on a train are attacked by a creature, they must band together in order to survive until morning. And I would recommend it. I think it's a decent little horror. It's from 2015. I haven't rated that yet. I will give, I'm torn between a 3 and a 3.5. A 3 is when I enjoy something. 3.5 is when I'm going to give it a 3.5 purely because it was horror comedy and I liked it, and to me that's a task in itself. When it comes to horror comedy, there's Shaun of the Dead and there is the Evil Dead movies. Outside of that, I struggle with horror and comedy together. I don't even, and I'm going to let myself down a bagful here, I wasn't a fan of Ash vs Evil Dead series. My husband loved it. I just couldn't be doing with it, and I don't know why. Just a personal preference. So yeah, that's what I have watched in the second week in January. Let me know below if there's anything I need to check out. My to watch list is absolutely massive. I've got a load of series on there. At the minute I'm trawling through How to Get Away with Murder. I'm on the final season of that at the moment. I've then got the final season of Supernatural to watch. There is a new series on Netflix. It's a French series. I've forgotten the name of it. I want to see that. I need to watch the last series of Dark, the German drama. There's so many. But let me know below if there's something that you have watched and you think is amazing and you think I should check out. The neighbours have just started up their car. Can you hear that? The mind boggles. They're out in the snow, on quads, skidding about the place. There's a new thing they're doing with revving the engine and putting the clutch in or something so it makes a banging noise. They're just gonna, well, let's hope they wreck the car and we get a bit of peace. So yep, that's it for me for the second week in January, and I shall catch up with you guys in week 3. Over and out from Lisa Loves.